So our objective, I can write a conditional, converse, inverse, and contrapositive. Real quick, if you don't understand this, okay, it was on the board, all the boards, it's still on this board right here, okay, but you were supposed to check Google Classroom for those notes, okay? Let me show you what it looks like. What are we in, third period? So if you go into your Google Classroom, this is what it looks like. If you haven't been going there, you may not have needed to, but if you miss a day, or if for some reason you're out for a week or more, for some reason, this is where you're gonna get all your work, right? So check it out. Every single day it tells you what we're doing, and let me show you. If you don't understand converse, inverse, contrapositive, conditional statements, 9/8 says notes, counterexamples, and conditional statements, okay? Now let's open this up, okay? This has the blank notes, but the blank notes don't do you anything unless you know what they're supposed to be. So guess what? If you go to this one, it's filled out. And copies of this are in the back in the blue bin and in that black binder, okay? So you can get it at home on the Google Classroom. You can get it in class in the blue binder, okay? And if just having the key doesn't help you out, there's a video there every single day. That's what I'm doing right now. I record the video, upload it, okay? So again, you even get, this is from like, not this year, but from years past, but you can get interactive with me, showing you the little cute tricks to remember this stuff, okay? It's all in there, okay? Everything's in there. So if you want that version of this, it's all in the Google Classroom. But if you just pay attention right now to the notes, I'm gonna make this make some sense real quick, cool? So make sure you're paying very close attention right here, right now, okay? We already talked about checking skyward for your grades, turning in your work from last week, which ones, and then if you need morning tutoring, you gotta talk to me so I can write you a test for the morning only. All right, now, here we go. First thing, a conditional statement. We talked about the magazine thing. Conditional is if blank, then blank. And the blanks are the hypothesis and the conclusion. So does everyone see I gave it to you, right? The first hypothesis is I'm Mr. G. Second conclusion, I'm back. So for the conditional, you're just gonna fill it in. If I'm Mr. G, then I'm back. Okay, let's just write that down. Right. For the first one, you need to write conditional, and then you're going to write this whole sentence, including the if then. If I'm Mr. G, then I'm back. So does everyone understand? Conditional is the original one. If blank, then blank. Okay? These next three, you got to do something to. Okay? Now I'm going to tell you, it's one or two of these options. You're either going to switch it around, or you're going to make it opposite, or you're going to do both of them. Okay, that's what we're going to do with that sentence. So let's talk about converse. Okay, now when you hear the word converse, what do you think of? As a teenager in high school, when you think of converse, what do you think of? Shoes. Okay, so let's stick with shoes. Imagine your laces are all messed up. Okay, you're walking and your foot's coming out of your shoe. I need to tie my shoes. Okay, so imagine you're holding your laces. Check it out. Look at me. And you got to actually tie them. You got to switch them around, right? That's part of tying, not the whole thing. But so I want you to, again, the thing you're using your imagination about is that when you tie your shoes, your Converse shoes, you switch them. You switch the laces until you tie them up. Well, that's what you're going to do. When you see Converse, you just take this, and you switch them. So take I'm Mr. G, take I'm back, and switch the order. Okay? What's my new sentence going to be? If I'm back, then I'm Mr. G, right? So let's write that down. Make sure you write the whole sentence. If I'm back, then I'm Mr. G. Okay, that's a converse. All you do is switch the order. Can you switch the order in a sentence? Okay. Let me tell you, this assignment right here for Thursday. You know what I'm pointing? You've got to be able to write a converse. You know how to do a converse now. Switch the order. Okay. Now, inverse. Again, you don't have to think about math, just in general. In general, when you think of inverse, what does that make you think of? What does it sound like? Backwards, like inverse or inverts, right? If I were to invert a shirt, make it inside out. If I were to invert, I don't know, a hat, inside out. I don't know. But that's what invert means. It make it opposite. Okay? So when you're doing the inverse, you're making both the hypothesis and the conclusion opposites. Okay? Now let me tell you, the easiest way to say opposites of something is just to put the word not in there, right? Yes, it is. No, it's not. Right? So here's the deal. If I'm Mr. G, what's the opposite of being Mr. G? You don't have to say students. You don't have to say everyone else besides Mr. G. You just say if I'm not Mr. G. That makes sense? Just throwing a not in there makes it opposite. So for inverse, if I'm not Mr. G. I'm underlining the not so you make sure you know it's there. And then what's the opposite of I'm back? I'm not back, okay? So if, then I'm not back. So far we have the original if-then statement. Converse, we switch them. Inverse, leave them the same way, but they're opposites. Now, contrapositive, a 5-syllable word, okay? That's kind of a confusing looking word. Think of it, it's a complicated word, so it's more complicated. It's 2 steps instead of 1 step. So the converse was just switch. The inverse was just opposite. Contrapositive is going to be both switch and opposite. So I'm going to take the Mr. G and the I'm back. I'm going to switch the order and put nots in there to make it opposite. So again, take the I'm back, put it at the beginning, make it opposite. Take the Mr. G, put it at the end, make it opposite. What's my new sentence going to be? Okay, if I'm not back, then I'm not Mr. G. Is everyone seeing? And again, I have plenty of copies of these notes in the blue bin filled out. Video online, but this is the quick version of this. Converse, inverse, opposite. Contrapositive does both switch and opposite. Nice. Okay. That's a big chunk of what we're doing with this conditional statement stuff from that assignment on Thursday. So let's make sure you know that. Okay, now biconditional. Okay, now I am not asking you to think like a teenager. Okay, when you think of the prefix bi, you should think of to, like a bicycle. Okay, it's a prefix that means to, right? Now, when we think of biconditional, we should think of statements that are true going both directions, 2 ways, right? So let me give you an example of something that's not biconditional. Now, when you think of a normal dog, doesn't matter what breed, a normal dog, okay? So if it's a dog, then it has 4 legs. Is that mostly true? Right, but think of it backwards. If it has 4 legs, then it must be a dog. Is that always true? No. What has 4 legs and is not a dog? Anything. A cat. So what you just gave me is called a counterexample. That's in your notes from Thursday, and if you look right here, you have to do on this assignment counterexamples. So again, if I said every number is even, a counterexample is the number 3. That's not even, right? You see how you give me a literal example, right? If I said, hey, I was here every day last week, you would say, Mr. G, the counterexample is Tuesday. You were not here. Okay? You get the idea? You have to literally give me a specific example. Now, why am I telling you this? Biconditional has to be true going both directions. Converse and conditional. Here's how you write it. Is everyone looking up here in the back? Everybody. So when you write biconditional, you are not going to write if and then. What you're going to put in the middle is a phrase called if and only if. So let's write that first, okay? In the middle, go ahead and write if and only if. If and only if has to go in the middle of your sentence. Okay? You don't put if, you don't put then, you put if and only if in the middle. Okay? And what you're going to do is put the hypothesis, I'm Mr. G at the beginning, just the way it is. And then I'm back just the way it is as the conclusion. Whoops. What in tarnation? All right, I'm back. Does everyone see? Mr. G is the same, I'm back is the same. The only thing for a biconditional is if and only if goes in the middle. Okay, very important. This is on the board. You gotta know this stuff. There's copies in the back. There's videos on the Google Classroom, all that good stuff. You need to do this assignment from Thursday. I'm spending an extra day letting you have some time to finish that. We gotta move on tomorrow, okay? Again, if you haven't done this, what I'm pointing to, the colorful looking magazine assignment. Again, it took me 2 minutes, but I know what I'm doing. I think you can pick it up pretty fast. Just cut out an ad, staple it, make it an if-then statement, turn it in, go. Okay. Nothing's late because I haven't been here, so everything will be on time. Just get it done, right? Cool. So keep your ones, don't lose them. Make sure your name is on it. Okay. I'm going to let you work on these two if you haven't already. If you did finish these, then make sure you work on the one from Friday for extra practice. If you've done all that, check skyward to see if you have any low grades or ones that you need to do, or any quizzes you need to retake. Some of y'all, I'm going to have y'all do some corrections with me at the table. I'll let you know. Well, let's go ahead and get started working today.